Hello, I am Pramod Kumar and today we will study Microeconomics Class 12 NCERT book Chapter 1 Introduction. First of all we will talk about simple economy where somebody will have some resources at their disposal. Suppose a small farmer is there, he or she will have a few implements, some grains, a small piece of land and a couple of cows or ox. A teacher is there, he will have his own knowledge to share with others, and some carpenter is there, so he will have his own skill, and an advocate will be there, he will be able to provide the services of an advocate. Same way for doctors and teachers, others. So here we find that each single entity produces something, either some good which is tangible or some service which is intangible. With that they exchange and fulfill their needs and wants. Most of the time you will find that people are having one or two goods at their disposal, one or two goods or services, and with that they meet their requirements, needs of multiple goods and services through exchange. So what happens? At any point of time, no individual will have adequate goods and services as they need. So as an individual faces a scarcity, so does the society. Right? So you got to know goods, physical, tangible, services, non-physical, intangible. Right? And individuals, the individual decision making units. I am an individual decision making unit. You are an individual decision making unit because I take a decision to buy something at some particular price. Same way you take a decision to buy something at a particular price, right? Or you say no at a higher price. So you are taking a decision. I am taking a decision. Right? So we are individual decision making units. Right? So what happens? Any society at any point of time will have a scarcity of resources. So these scarce resources need to be allocated in such a way that maximum needs of the society are met in a justified way. Now, we come across what are the activities which are basic to us. So you will find, if you remember these three alphabets, PEC, production, exchange and consumption. These are the three basic activities which continuously keep on going in the society, right? Then the society faces some central problems, economy faces. So what are the central problems of an economy? Why do we face problem? What happens? A scarcity of resources gives rise to problem of choice, right? And there central problems of the economy come into picture. What are the central problems of the economy? First, allocation of a scarce resources, right? And second, distribution of goods and services in society, right? So a scarcity of resources gives rise to the problem of choice, and this problem of choice results into two central problems for the economy. Those problems are allocation of a scarce resources and distribution of goods and services in society, right? So now we come to how these are handled. Basic problems of the society, how they are handled. So you will find we need to know three things, right? First is what is being produced. Second is how it is going produced. Third is for whom it is being produced. What is being produced? Since the resources are scarce, a society needs to take a decision. What are the things, goods and services they will produce, right? How it is produced? Whether it will be produced fully through labor, or labor plus technology, or fully through technology. These are the decisions a society has to take. Third is for whom it is produced. Are we going to produce most of the things for the affluent class, or are we going to produce most of the things for the poor class, or are we going to produce most of the things for the middle class, right? For whom it is produced. So these are the three things which we try to know: what is being produced, how it is being produced, and for whom it is being produced, right? So what happens, since the resources are scarce and we cannot meet all our needs and wants, so we need to make a choice. It could be my requirements are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but resources are limited, right? So either I can have these three, or these three, or this and this, right? So we make a choice. So what do we come across? The scarce resources of the society need to be put into production of those set of goods and services, or goods or services which we can afford to produce through the allocation of resources and distribution among the people. Suppose we are having 5 possibilities, right? These are the possibilities, and this is the commodity: corn, cotton. So if we use possibility A, we could produce, how much we could produce? 0 corn, 10 cotton. Suppose all the resources of the society are put into production of cotton, we get 10 units of cotton and 0 units of corn. Another possibility is B. Here we can have 1 unit of corn and 9 units of cotton. Possibility 3, 2 units of corn, 7 units of cotton. Possibility D, 3 units of corn, 4 units of cotton. Possibility E, 4 units of corn, 0 units of cotton, right? So if we have 10 units of cotton, we can have 0 unit of corn. If we reduce cotton, then we get some corn, right? So by sacrificing on cotton, we are able to get corn. So this is called possibility set. These are the possibility sets. These are 5 possibility sets. Based on this, you can get this. Suppose this is cotton, this is corn, right? So if cotton is 10, let us go like this: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0, right? If you are having 10 cotton, you have 0 corn, right? So the graph goes like this, right? A, here is A, you could say here is B, C, D and E, right? A, B, C, D and E. If you have 10 cotton, 0 corn. If you have 4 corn, 0 cotton, right? So this curve is called production possibility frontier. Below this curve we could produce, but it shows that some of the resources of society are either underutilized or wasted. They are not put to the right use. So this curve gives the maximum of the production possibility set. This is called production possibility frontier. These are the combination of goods and services that we can produce with the limited resources of the society, right? Production possibility frontier gives the maximum of corn that can be produced in the economy for any given amount of cotton and vice versa, right? And vice versa. Production possibility curve is called production possibility frontier. This curve is called production possibility curve is production possibility frontier, right? It gives the combination that can be produced when the resources of the economy are fully utilized, right? There is no wastage, there is no underutilization. Then here we see, if we are producing 1 corn, we are sacrificing 1 unit of cotton. If we are producing 1 more unit of corn, we are sacrificing another 2 units of cotton. So what is happening here? In order to get corn, we are sacrificing on cotton. That is called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. There is always a cost of having a little more of something or a little more of one good in terms of the other good that we have to forego. So here, once again, opportunity cost. There is always a cost of having a little more of one good. If you want a little more of one good, we need to sacrifice a little bit of other good. Here corn is 0, here we want 1 unit of corn, so we have to sacrifice 1 unit of cotton. Here we want 1 more unit of corn, so we need to sacrifice 2 units of cotton, right? That is called opportunity cost. Organizations of economic activities. So how they are managed, how they are handled, economic issues, central economic problems, how they are handled, how they are managed, right? So mainly they are managed in 2 ways. Either the economy will be a market economy, right? Or it will be a centrally controlled economy. In market economy, the forces in the market are free to interact with each other. The independent forces of market, who are the independent forces of market? We as consumers and others as suppliers. They are free to interact among themselves. There is no restriction. So, if you see an example, USA could be called very near to a free market economy because government doesn't control the market to a very large extent. In centrally controlled economy, what happens? There are certain things, goods or services, which may not be produced by the producers in quantities as required for the development or well-being of the society. So the government steps in, government or the central authority steps in to encourage people to produce those goods which are related to development and well-being of the society. Or the central government or the central authority itself may pitch in and produce those goods and services which are required for the well-being of the overall well-being of the society. So, a typical example could be rasa, right? So, you got my point? What is a market economy? Market economy allows people to buy and sell freely among themselves. And in a centrally planned economy, centrally controlled, centrally planned economy, what happens? Government or the central authority plans all the important activities of economy and they take all the important decisions regarding allocation of resources and distribution of goods and services to the people in society, right? They control, they supervise, they monitor production, exchange and consumption, right? This is power. Now, we would like to know about positive and normative economics. What is positive economics? In positive economics, we analyze. What do we analyze? We study how the different mechanisms function. Which mechanism? Just now we discussed market economy and the other one centrally planned economy, right? So in positive economics we analyze, we study how the different mechanisms function, how market economy functions or how centrally planned economy functions. Whereas in normative economics we analyze whether this system is desirable for the particular economy or this system is desirable for the particular economy. Suppose in India we have market economy. So in that, what do we do? What do we do in positive economics? We study what do they do? How the different mechanisms, how it functions in India or how it functions in the rasa, right? In normative economics, we analyze whether this is more desirable for the Indian economy or whether this is more desirable for the Russian economy, right? Positive economics, what do? We study how different mechanisms in the economy function, and these are the few examples of different mechanisms, right? In normative economics, we study, we analyze whether this system is desirable in a particular economy or this system is desirable in that particular economy, which is more desirable, right? Then we come to microeconomics and macroeconomics. So, what is the difference between the two? Micro, you know, is small. So, in microeconomics, what do? We study behavior of individual economic agents. We study the behavior of individual economic agents or decision makers who take a decision, right? In market, there individual economic agents, the behavior of individual economic agents in market, and we try to figure out through their behavior how prices, quantity and how prices and quantities of goods and services are determined, right? In microeconomics, we study the behavior of individual economic agents. I am an individual economic agent, you are an individual economic agent, or a company, individual company. A company is the individual economic agent. Economic agent means decision makers, right? And we try to figure out how their behavior influences prices, quantities of goods and services in the market, right? Micro. Then we go to macro. What is macro? Macroeconomics. In macroeconomics, we try to understand economy as a whole. Suppose this is the economy, this is the Indian economy. So we try to understand the Indian economy as a whole, not individual economic agents or individual decision makers. Economy as a whole, macro, large scale, right? How do we do that? We try to understand economy as a whole by focusing on aggregate measures. What are the aggregate measures? Like total output in the economy, employment level in the economy, aggregate price level in the economy, and how these levels change over a period of time, right? So did you get it? Macroeconomics, we try to understand the economy as a whole, right? As a whole, total economy as a whole we try to understand. And how do we do that? By focusing on aggregate measures like total output, employment level, right? Aggregate price level, and how these levels, which levels? Total output, employment level, aggregate price level, how these levels change over time, right? So that's the difference between the microeconomics and macroeconomics. Once again, microeconomics, micro means a small, we study behavior of individual economic agents or individual decision makers in market and try to figure out how prices, quantity of goods and services are determined through the behavior of individual economic agents, right? In macroeconomics, we try to understand the economy, study the economy as a whole. This is the Indian economy, suppose. So we try to understand the Indian economy as a whole, right? Indian economy as a whole. And how do we do that? By focusing on aggregate measures. What are the aggregate measures? Like level of output in the economy, level of employment or unemployment in the economy, aggregate price level in the economy, right? And how these levels change over a period of time, right? So I hope you got the chapter 1 of NCERT book, Introduction, in which we discussed simple economy, scarce resources with individuals as well as with the society, and basic economic problems, allocation of scarce resources and distribution of goods and services, right? And 3 actions which keep on going in the economy all the time. What are those? PEC, production, exchange, consumption, right? Central problems we have discussed, 2 central problems, allocation of scarce resources, and second one, distribution of goods and services. And then production possibility frontier we have seen. Since resources are scarce, they give rise to problem of choice, and as per that problem of choice, we need to choose, pick up what are the sets of goods and services that we would like to have. A society needs to measure its resources and deploy them in such a way that they try to get the best possible, right? Production possibility frontier we have seen. Opportunity cost we have seen. What is opportunity cost? There is always a cost of having something more of one good, something a little more of one good in terms of the other. That has to be foregone. When we want more cotton, we have to sacrifice corn. When we want more corn, we have to sacrifice cotton. That's opportunity cost. Then we see how economies are organized. Market economy and centrally planned economy. Market economy, economic agents, decision makers are free to take their decisions, interact with each other, buy and sell. In centrally planned economy, government steps in and takes several decisions, urges people to get into those activities which are useful for the economy or the well-being of the people in the society. And sometimes the government steps in and does it themselves, itself. They produce goods and services in order to meet the requirements of the society, right? And then we studied positive economics and normative economics. What is positive economics? In positive economics, we analyze, we study how the different mechanisms function in the economy. Different mechanisms: market economy, centrally planned economy. In normative economics, we see whether these are desirable or not. Suppose for India, market economy. In normative economics, we will discuss whether they are desirable or not, right? And then we studied microeconomics and macro. Macro is small, where individual economic agents, how their behavior influences price, demand and supply in the market, decision making, right? And in macroeconomics, we study economy as a whole. Suppose this is Indian economy, this round, so we study whole. How do we do that? By focusing on aggregate measures. What are those aggregate measures? Level of output, level of employment or unemployment, aggregate price level, and how these levels, which levels? How these levels, total output level, total employment level, aggregate price level, change over a period of time, right? I hope you found it okay. In case of any query, please do contact me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you very much.